and welcome everyone to another edition of Masonic Light Talk. I'm your host, Past Master Funderburk of Bivouac Lodge number 503, and we are hailing from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and are a part of the 30th District, where our worshipful master is Dewan A. Muhammad, and our district deputy is Terry Andrews, and our fearless leader of the North Carolina jurisdiction is our most worshipful Grand Master Daniel L. D.T. Thompson. And as you know, and as we've always said, the true purpose of Masonic Light Talk is to give the craft as well as the listening audience a chance to see the individuals behind the various titles within Masonry, and also to allow everyone to see that they're all just regular people living regular lives just like anyone else. They have good days, bad days, and sometimes ugly days, as we all do. And we also wanted to be very clear that when people ask questions about what are the Masons all about? Well, it's very simple. Masons are here to make good men better. We're not here to take a bad man and make him good. We're not here to take an average man and put him in another area or direction, but we are here to make good men better in all aspects of this life. And for those of you who are just beginning to follow us, we have been trying to include all of the various houses in Masonry within the North Carolina jurisdiction. So if you would, please let us know what you would like to see or what titles you would like to see on this broadcast, and we will do our best to make that happen for you. And of course, today's very special guest comes to us as both a Grand Lodge officer and a Royal Arch National officer, and he needs very little introduction within our jurisdiction. But for those of you who are not a part of our jurisdiction and listening and following us, I'd like to take this time to welcome Past Master Nathaniel Degraffinraidt. And Past Master, I want to say welcome and thank you for taking the time out to join us and gracing us with your presence. How are you doing today, sir?
First of all, thank you, sir. Give honor to God. I'm doing fine. A few bumps in the road early this morning, but I'm doing okay, and my family is doing well. So, but I'm here to do what I can and to give any little light or some light to what we're here for. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank you so much. And glad to hear that your family's doing well, especially, during the pandemic and everything that we have going on. And of course, I know you have so many titles and you've held so many positions and there are so many accolades. And of course, it's hard to know where to begin with you. But I will just start with the little regular conversation. Past Master Grand Degraffinraidt, how have you and your family been able to hold up during this pandemic? And have you been able to get vaccinated? And what are your thoughts on this whole coronavirus issue that we're facing here today?
Well, sir, my family and I, we have really held up pretty good with the pandemic, staying in, going out some, but being very safe in what we do and where we go. This pandemic has slowed down all of us to a certain level, but we are safe. We've not been sick. Of course, I had a little sickness within the last couple of months, but I'm better. It wasn't due to COVID though, and I'm glad of that. I've had my vaccinations, both of them, as well as my family and my mother and that part of the family. And that's been a challenge, dealing with her and the family as well, moving back and forth up and down the road. But we've done well. We're good at this time and we're safe. Everybody's fine. Yeah.
Grand Degraffinraidt, that is great to hear that. Glad to hear your family is doing well during this pandemic. We've lost quite a bit of people everywhere. I know I've lost some family members during this whole pandemic, but God is merciful and he knows what he is doing. That is for sure. So as we move on into this interview, Grand Degraffinraidt, why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are? You've already mentioned, you've taken care of your family. So that means not only are you a man, but you're a husband, you're a father, you're a son. And just give us a little background about you, sir.
Well, sir, yeah, I'm all of that. I'm all of that. And I'm a Mason as well.
Yes, sir.
But I'm just a simple guy from Alamance County. You have heard of Alamance County?
Yes, sir. Going toward Burlington.
Yep, going toward Burlington. And I travel that road all the time, taking care of the mother. So being that son, that's what I do for her. And as well as the sisters that I have. So we all chipping in and doing the mama care, as we say,
Yes.
that we should do to take care of that mom. But after high school, I got a job. Now, as well, I want to say that I am an operative Mason as well as a speculative Mason.
Okay. All right.
I am operative as well as I was operative before I became speculative.
Gotcha.
So I already knew a little bit about the inside part of Masonry.
Yes, sir.
Never really joined until I got curious like everybody else. Right? But before we get into that, after high school, got a job, went to school, went to the military, all the way back around. I've done all the traveling in that part and done what I could for the United States. I'm a retired Navy, over 21 years of service, as well as studied at North Carolina A&T State University, career and technical education, construction trades, building trades. So there I say the operative part was there already.
Yes,
it's
sir.
all in the books. It's all in the books.
Yes,
starting
sir.
with the guilds. You ever heard of the guilds? The Masonry
I've heard
guild?
of it. Yes, sir.
So it starts right there in the books. So as I professed on years later to join the Masons, I did like everybody else. I asked one and I became one.
That's what you have to do.
I asked one and I became one. And as I became one, my goal in life and many things that I do is to, once I start, try to continue, work hard, learn hard, earn hard, and have fun.
Yes, sir.
That's what we do in all Masonry. That's what we do in Masonry. It's just a part of life.
That's right.
And
You're
that's
exactly
what I try to do at this point. And from there on, there came so you don't, once you join Masonry and you work hard and you do the things that you do, you don't have to ask for any type of titles or positions. They're given to you.
You're right about that.
Well, they'll put upon you, whether
Yes,
you
sir.
take it or not. They'll put upon you. Masons don't like to. More work. Okay, I'll do it. So don't turn it down. Do it, and if you can't handle it, then you do something else.
Yes, sir.
So
That's right.
that's the way it goes with Masonry and all that we do in life as well.
You're exactly right. Well, Grand Degraffinraidt, first of all, I want to thank you for your service in the Navy, that long service. Thank you for all that you've done and all the work that you put in for this nation. Thank you so much for that service. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And as we move along in your Masonry route here, I'd like to just ask you, what lodge are you hailing from? And as you tell us what lodge you're hailing from, what was it that maybe that event in your life that led you to Freemasonry and currently, where you are now in Masonry?
I hail from Greensboro, North Carolina, C.W. Lawrence Lodge, number 837, in which my worship master is Brother Stephen Trout, newly elected, and the District Deputy Grand Master, with the position I did hold for over 13 years for the Grand Lodge. Now is Brother Maurice D. Hamilton, who is now the District Deputy Grand Master here in this district, District 27. All right.
Yes, sir. Gotcha. I know old Brother Hamilton. He's doing all right down that way.
Yes, sir. He's doing good.
Good deal.
We're making sure we support him, the district, and the Grand Lodge as well, and all that we do.
That's awesome. What was that event in your life that led you to Freemasonry?
Let me think back. The event was seeing the brothers out at a funeral one day. That's where it hit me. An older brother from Invincible Lodge. I think that's our District Deputy Grand Master's Lodge. Did the burial rites And that hit me right. The way he done those rites and the way he performed tricked my mind, as we all do. We get curious.
Yes,
I
sir.
wonder if I could do that one day. I wonder if I could do that one day.
Yes, sir.
So after that funeral, I started searching, asking, looking. And I came upon, actually, I didn't come upon a brother. One of my older brothers here in my lodge came to me and asked me, did I want to be? And it was already in my mind. Yeah, I really wanted to be.
Yes, sir.
But once he stepped up and said, look, I think you make a good Mason. I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And guess what? I brought my wife along with me to join the Eastern Stars.
Oh, beautiful.
See what I'm saying? That's how you keep it good in the household.
That's right.
Well, you won't get all those questions. What are you doing? Where are you going? Okay, you come, go. We're going to do it together.
That's right.
And we know what each other's doing, why we go, and where we going. In the event, late nights, we coming in late from the meetings. I got to go to a meeting, or she has to go too. I said, okay, let's do it.
Yes, sir.
But, so I took the app, turned it in, joined. But I got a little frustrated. After 9 months, I never heard anything. It took 9 months for me to say, okay, well, maybe that ain't gonna work for me. Maybe they don't want me or whatever. So as I got to the point to forget about Masonry, all of a sudden I get a phone call. Hey, we ready for you. We ready for you. Are you still ready? Oh yeah. So I got so excited. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Finally, I got my chance to join the lodge.
Awesome.
And after I joined my lodge, after I joined the lodge, the work began.
Sir, that's right.
The work began. I mean,
And
my work started with the Knights of Pythagoras.
beautiful.
One of the brothers wanted to step down because he had been carrying it for a few years now. Now, be advised that my lodge is not for 35 years old. It's a young lodge. It's a long lodge. I said, okay, what do I do? How do I do it? He told me. I took it and ran. Served the Knights of Pythagoras up to this point.
Yes,
so
sir.
you're never out. Once you're in, you're never out.
That's
you
right.
might turn it over, but once a night, you're always a night.
That's right.
The brother told me, if you can handle this program, if you can run this program and do it right, you could be the Grand Master.
I believe it. Yes, sir.
You understand what the Knights entail? I ran it, did the best I could in my time. Brought home several awards and trophies, wore out several cars, trained youth, and we see them today. Some of them are military, principals in schools. Of course, some of them went by the wayside. You're gonna have some of them that go by the wayside and do other things.
Yes, sir.
A lot of them are grown to the point now they're doing very well. So that was my beginning, and from there sparked everything else.
And thank you for being willing to take that position within the Knights, because working with the youth can be challenging. It can be stressful, but as you also said, when you saw where they ended up, it is very, very rewarding. So thank you for being willing to work with our youth within the Knights of Pythagoras.
And a
Now,
lot of hard
Past,
work.
sir.
And a lot of hard work.
Yes, sir. Lots of hard work. I know it was. I know it was.
Yeah.
Now, Grant, one of the things that I know is you've gone through Masonry, you've held various titles, and of course, we could have a show that lasts an hour to talk about each of the positions that you've held. But what I'd like to do is get a brief description of the current Grand Lodge position that you hold, the actual title itself, and how you got into that capacity and how it's working for you right now.
Well, the department that I'm in charge of now is the Disaster and Relief Department for the Grand Lodge. Is the grand department director. Now that department is aimed to provide assistance to brothers and sisters and their families that are affected by a national disaster or a man-made event. So if we got some brothers and sisters that need help in that department, they are to get an application, run it through their regional director. Now, under the grand title, there are 4 regional directors: Piedmont, Eastern, Western, and Coastal.
Mm-hmm.
So whichever region those people are in, they are to run that through their regional director
Mm-hmm.
and submit it to the Grand Lodge director, who will then in turn submit it to the Grand Lodge for any type of help they may need.
Okay.
And that's
Well,
that's the way that works.
gotcha. I'm sure that keeps you very busy. What is the best way for them to contact you? Is that through the application in that capacity? Is the application the best way to contact you if they're needing help or someone is needing help?
Right. They could contact their regional director,
Okay.
their district deputy,
Mm-hmm.
or they can call directly to the Grand Lodge.
Gotcha. Okay.
Directly to the Grand Lodge, and that in turn will get back to me if need be.
Good deal. Well, thank you so much for that information, and thank you for that job that you do in order to help those who are distressed. Now, we know you hold some other positions, so we're going to move on to the next one from the Grand Lodge.
I've forgotten about a lot of them that I've held. I really have forgotten about a lot of them. So
I know that's right.
Carry on.
And of course, it's been said that there is no higher degree than the 3rd degree in Masonry. And of course, you know, you can laterally move, you know, along the Masonry tree line. I'll just put it like that.
Right.
And I know that, you know, some people have never heard of York Rite, or in this particular context, it can be, you know, described maybe as the Holy Royal Arch of Masons, which is also known as the Red House. So just quickly, without giving away any secrets or anything like that, can you give us a brief crash course in Royal Arch Masonry and maybe why the public has no idea that it exists?
Well, you know, nothing's secret. They can always go to the public library.
Yes, sir.
Google it, Google it, Google it. Nothing's secret. It's what we do inside is what the secret is, right?
Right. That's right.
Just like the Blue Lodge.
Yes, sir.
But the Holy Royal Lodge is a degree of Masonry that is present in all Masonic systems, which is called capitular Masonry. So we say Red House, Holy Royal Lodge, which is capitular Masonry. Built upon the first part of the York Rite system. We meet as a chapter. We don't meet as lodges, we meet as chapters, which confers 4 degrees, 4 other degrees. Now, if they want to know those degrees, they're gonna have to petition to join.
Right, that's right.
We'll give those degrees to them, all right, and that information, which is basically founded upon the destruction of the first temple, right? And building upon the second temple. You get the final truth of the craft degrees. Building on that second temple, that's when you get your final truth of the craft degrees. You know, so you gotta come in if you want to learn and get that education and understanding of how the second temple was completed.
That's right.
And you will get what you want, what you are reaching for.
Good deal.
A new person will get what they're reaching for. We will work along with them, educate them, and make sure they know and learn what it's all about.
And that's what it's all about. Now, how is the Red House structured? You know, maybe in comparison to the Blue House. You know, do you have a sovereign grand master like the Blue House? Is it a little bit different? Do you have an annual, communications such as the Grand Lodge has annual communications or equivalent thereof? Can you share a little bit about how it's structured?
Again, we have an annual convention. an annual convention, just like the Grand Lodge annual convention. We have you got the Grand Lodge, then you got the annual convention of the Grand Chapter of Holy Royal Lodge Masons of North Carolina, which is called the Grand Chapter. All local chapters work under the Grand Chapter. And the head of the Grand Chapter is called the Most Excellent Grand High Priest. He's called the Most Excellent Grand High Priest.
Okay.
Then he has his council, the king, and your scribe, and his other officers as well.
Okay.
That's how it's built. That's the structure.
Good deal.
You got your past Most Excellent Grand High Priest. We have passes, a lot of passes.
Yes, sir.
Some are living, some are dead, but we have that as well. And it's ran pretty administratively. It's ran real well. We just had our annual convention, and now our most excellent Grand High Priest, Clinton L. Ham, is a pass, and our new most excellent Grand High Priest is Maurice D. Hamilton.
Okay, so he is the Grand High Priest. Okay, good deal.
He's the most excellent.
Excellent Grand High Priest. Yes.
Right.
Okay. Good deal. Now, Grand Degraffinraidt, what position do you hold in the Royal Arch on the national level? So give us some insight on that title. Not only maybe what you can describe your duties are, but also how long did it take to reach that?
First of all, I am a past most excellent Grand High Priest of the Grand Chapter, Holy Royal Lodge Masons of North Carolina. And after I pass, at this point, I am now we call the Grand CCFC. I think most of our bodies have that position, which is the chairman, the Grand Chairman, Committee on Foreign Correspondence. When that position entails any correspondence coming into North Carolina or going out, pretty much, the Grand CCFC needs to know about it, and here related to the Most Excellent Grand High Priest. So like visitors coming in, any information that may go out, the Grand High Priest has to know or will know through the Grand CCFC on who's coming in or going out and to where.
Right. And you kind of, I guess you could say you could lay out the carpet and make provisions on if someone's leaving and going, and you make communications and make sure that travel and comfort is easy for that person when they get to their final destination.
Exactly. That way.
Yes, sir. I'm very familiar with that. Yes, sir.
Very familiar with that. And
yes,
me, I travel a lot. I have traveled a lot to all these various jurisdictions. And so they know me as well. I guess that's probably why I got the title, pretty much, on Grand Correspondence. So when you travel, you learn.
That's right.
I mean, why sit in your state and it's okay to learn your state, but if you want to learn and broaden your horizon, get a little more education on what Masonry is all about, Boo Lodge, York Rite, you travel and you see others, how others do it, and meet other people, make other connections. You gain that good, solid education and knowledge of what Masonry is really about.
That's right. Hence why you also hear individuals also hear Masons being called traveling men as well.
Traveling Mason. You a traveling man? Are you a traveling man? Are you a traveling man? That's pretty much where that came from.
That's right. You're exactly right.
So after being abroad on different areas, we joined the General Conference of Grand Chapters of Holy Royal Lodge Masons of North Carolina and the Bahamas. So the Bahamas is also included in that.
Okay.
All right. The Bahamas is all included in that overall conference. Now, they also have an annual communications, which is called a conference. Yeah, it's called a conference.
Okay.
Which entails of all grand chapters and all states can join that body and participate in it. So it's a pretty big conference. If you got all states, 49, 48 states coming in to one city, which has to have a hotel and all that to house all these people.
Yes, sir.
And from there, we have a lot of other special events, have a conference of grand chapters, present education materials, meet and greet, have other special events and activities.
Okay,
That's
sounds good. That is awesome. Grant, is there anything that you'd like to say to anyone who might be considering joining the Red House? You know, what questions maybe should they ask themselves before applying? What advice would you have for those folks who are considering?
Well, first of all, you asked me what title that I hold.
Yes,
so
sir.
My title in that general conference is the General Grand King.
General Grand King.
General Grand King.
Okay.
Of the General Conference of Grand Chapters of Holy Royal Archmasons, United States and Bahamas. You got to pretty much say all of that to be kind of correct.
Okay.
We can acronym it just like we did the state HRAM, but we can acronym it, but on a professional basis, we don't want to say the whole thing to you, so
That's
you'll
right.
know. So
That's
you'll
right.
know what it really is about. And
exactly right.
And the next above that would be the deputy, and the one above that would be the General Conference Grand High Priest.
Deputy General Conference Grand High Priest.
So above the king, you would have the Deputy General Conference Grand High Priest, and then you would have the General Conference Grand High Priest. So it's two positions above the king.
Okay. Just trying to take some notes here, Graham.
Yeah, which is to assist, the deputy assists the General Conference Grand High Priest, and the king assists him, and it goes down like that.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Just
sir.
like the Deputy Grand Master, the Worshipful Master, and on down.
Okay.
So it works pretty much the same, but it's just called different titles and everything. We're even called different. We're brothers, but there's a certain name that you're called in the Holy Royal Arch as well.
Right. And in order to know what that is, you have to join.
You have to join.
That's right.
We'll give you a lot of more good information on that part. Once you
join.
Once you join. And we'll give them more. We'll give them more. They just gotta join. We want them to join, and they can get that good York-Rite part of Masonry and education to carry on this beautiful system of allegory of Masonry.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what advice would you have for someone who's considering joining?
The advice: ask one if you're interested, and we will make you one. Ask one, you'll be one, just like we do in the Blue Lodge. Ask one, and be interested now, and we will take you to your limit.
I know you will.
We always say, you want to go higher? Yeah, you can go higher. But it's all in learning, all in being educated on what Masonry is all about.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Still a part of life, a way of life.
And Grant, of course, naturally is going to take more than one visit to give our audience, a true introduction to this part of Masonry. We're talking about the Red House, but hopefully soon we'd love to have you to come back and join us again, because we are running out of time. But in the meantime, is there anyone from the Red House who you would recommend that we should be the next guest on Masonic Light Talk based upon your experience?
Based upon right now my experience, I think we have our past most excellent Grand High Priest coming up, Clinton L. Ham. So we want to recommend him to come on in and give his insight on these questions and the matters of Masonry that he has.
Okay. Well, we're going to get you to make sure you to help us lean on him a little bit. We'll make sure that we get you to be whispering in his ear so that he might come on and share some more light with us. And before we leave here, is there anything else on your heart, Grand Degraffinraidt, that you would like to speak to us on before we close everything else out?
I would like to say, brothers, be true to what you're doing. Work hard. Things will come your way. You don't have to ask for it. It will come to you. Support the organization, as you said you were, and let's move forward. And let's get ready for our young folks too. Let's get ready for our young folks, because they're going to be the ones that's really going to take over and make this thing the best they can make it. So I'd say join, call me if you need my help, and we got people in place that can answer any question that you may have on your mind. Thank you, sir.
Grand, thank you so much. You are the Grand CCFC of the Royal Arch. And thank you so much for coming on, sharing with us today. We hope you have not found it robbery for taking out your time to come out and do that. We really appreciate you and look forward to having you soon again.
Thank you, sir. And just anytime you need me, just let me know.
Yes, sir. We will definitely do that. And Prince Hall family out there, those of you listening, I want to thank you for tuning in and listening to this edition of Masonic Light Talk, featuring the Grand CCFC of the Royal Arch, Brother Nathan Degraffinraidt. And for those of you who are not a part of the Masonic family, remember, it's not hard to be one. As a matter of fact, he said it a couple of times. In order to be one, just ask one. I'm your host, Past Master Funderburk of Bivouac Lodge number 503. I can't wait to see each of you on the next edition of Masonic Light Talk. Until then, my brothers and sisters, please be safe and travel light.